Commissioner Roger Goodell likely will be testifying on June 22, just 1 week from today, before the U.S. House Committee on Oversight and Reform. Jared Bell of USA Today reported there have been some constructive talks between league officials and the committee. Look, the initial goal was to try to lobby the committee to not have a hearing at all. It's one thing to investigate. They investigate many things. Only a fairly small percentage of the investigations become full-blown hearings. But the hearing's happening. This is part of what Roger Goodell gets paid for, Chris. Running interference, being the pincushion, answering the tough questions. The only difference is it's not like a press conference where you can just filibuster your way through an answer and wait for the next question on a completely different topic from a completely different person so you don't have follow-up. You will get the pointed, "Sir, you did not answer my question," from somebody who is trying to get to the bottom of whatever topics come up next Wednesday if Goodell shows up.
Yeah, well, it seems that there's just too much light on this subject for the NFL to be able to totally avoid it. So that's where it just feels like, yeah, he's got to do it. This is not going anywhere. It's been a pretty big hot button topic, for what, at least a year. And it's got,
July 1 is when it all started.
All right. So, yeah, and then it's gotten reignited a little bit here recently to where I don't think you can avoid this in the NFL. I don't. And I don't think, of course, the government resources and stuff aren't going to avoid it right now. So, yeah, we'll see where it goes. I'll be interested to see if Daniel Snyder does talk. But I think we're going to have to see, or it seems like Roger Goodell is going to have to answer some tough questions, and we might get to see behind the curtain a little bit in the NFL.
I'm not quite sure what the etiquette is for somebody who says, "Thank you for asking me to show up, but I won't appear without a subpoena," because it should be fairly easy to issue a subpoena if they really want him there.
Do subpoenas really matter?
There may be
either.
Well, no, I think some of the folks who defied subpoenas found out the hard way that there is justice that will eventually come get you if you give the middle finger to any type of validly issued subpoena. But Goodell may be what they have to settle for now, and maybe if they maybe there was just like a negotiation where we'll give you Goodell, back off on Snyder, we'll give you Goodell, and then we'll revisit it afterward if they're happy with what they get from Goodell. And it's going to be a long day for him. It really is. And it may not just be about Washington. It could be about Deshaun Watson. It could be about Stephen Ross. It could be about all sorts of things. There's no restrictions by the members of the committee. Once they have their 5 minutes, they're going to ask him whatever they want to ask him. And he hasn't testified to a House committee since 2009 when the Judiciary Committee had both Roger Goodell and DeMaurice Smith, among others, there to testify about head trauma, about the NFL's failure to take it seriously. And you know what? That was the moment where the NFL took it seriously. That's the shot across the bow. That's where congressional power can be very, very useful. You always have the knee-jerk, well, don't they have better things to do? Well, yes, they have better things to do, and they do them. They're capable of doing multiple things. But when you're dealing with a major private industry like the National Football League, which is such an important part of our public life, that 20 to 30 million people will tune in any given primetime game to watch, it's important to regulate it. So you make it clear, we think you have a problem, and you better fix it, because if you don't, we will, and you won't like the solution. It worked with the brain injury issue, and it will probably work in some way, Chris, with this. It will force the NFL to do something it otherwise wouldn't have done as it relates to the Washington Command.
They can go anywhere with this, though. I didn't know that. They can take this, down different roads of the NFL. It doesn't just stay with, the subject of Washington and what's going on with Daniel Snyder and all that.
I think that the members of Congress who pose their allotted time of questions for Roger Goodell are only limited by the time.
Yeah,
they can ask whatever they want to ask.
Of course they are. You're right.
And the risk they're going to look like idiots. I mean, if you do go too far.
Right.
But we'll see. I'll watch some of these hearings from time to time, and it's obvious the line of questioning is more about pandering to your base or raising funds, whatever your base is, either side.
Yeah.
It's not about getting to the truth. It's about some broader effort to grandstand. But you just never know. You never know. And that's what Roger Goodell is walking into. And again, it's not going to be like a press conference where you just give a non-answer and you wait for the next question. he's going to have to find a way to give a non-answer that looks like a real answer, and they don't realize until it's over, this guy didn't say anything. He's got to be the Nick Saban press conference. The Nick Saban press conference seems like he's actually saying something, and he is when he's talking about NIL now. But the old Nick Saban press conference, it seems like he's saying something until you look at the transcripts. That guy didn't say a damn thing. That's what Roger Goodell needs to try to do next week to minimize the potential damage.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.